I didn't even want to cover this story. It's been hell online. Everyone's at war with each other, it seems. And it'll go away. It'll die down eventually. But the Panthers lost a communications coordinator, evidently. And I think I'm a prime fit for the job. They're going to need to fill the role. Everyone knows no one in Carolina can communicate. The coach and quarterback, they can't communicate. The coach and defensive coordinator, not on the same page. Let me join the organization from the inside out. Let's do it. I can do it. And I'll do two things as a communications coordinator in Carolina. One, I'm going to send Xavier Legette by horseback to Minnesota to retrieve Adam Thielen. I'm going to communicate to the Panthers wide receiver. And the next thing I'm going to do is sit down the coaching staff and mediate the presidential debate, which is the relationship between the two coaches, Evero and Canales, and the billionaire who's pulling all the strings, David Tepper. The communications coordinator. It had to happen. They need the tone in there. And I don't want anyone to experience pain or lose their job, but some things are meant to happen. The tone is meant to take over the position, and it all needs to be fixed. Just look at what Evero had to say about mandates, is the word he used. Coach Evero on the developmental mindset and the defensive adjustments the Panthers are making.
We're on board in terms of hey, the mandate is to develop everybody on our roster. That's part of coaching in this league.
So he calls it a mandate. It is a mandate. It is mandated. You do this. That is what a mandate is. A mandate is when there's fear of repercussion. If you're just talking to someone, if Canales and Evero, Canales, Tepper, everyone else sit down and it's just friendly and there's maybe some coffee involved, a good relationship, good working relationship. There's a little bit of fear. There's an ounce of it there. But it's a good working relationship. A mandate is, I don't trust you to get the job done. Pound the gavel. You are mandated. You are mandated to put these young guys in the game. And I just find the word choice interesting. Clearly, there's something going on in Carolina. There was an amazing comment. I'm going to get to it later. Shout out Dramon. He had the comment. I didn't even remember what he brought up. So we're going to talk about it later in the show, as well as some other comments. But the general theme is this relationship, this working environment where Evero and Canales and Tepper and Dan Morgan, and it's there's overlap in certain responsibilities. And I think Evero looks at this and goes, I want to win now. I want to do what I think will allow the team to win. And even though everyone from the outside in can say, play Lathan Ransom, he's the better safety than Nick Scott. Play the young guys. They have more upside than DJ Wanham and Pat Jones, these rotational players from Minnesota. But I think he sits there and goes, I'm going with the veterans. You know what? Screw you. And in that, he says, everybody on our roster has to develop. Not just the young players, everybody. And they're parsing words, and the conversation's ridiculous. It's literally politics. It literally is politics. They tell Evero, you have to develop the roster. That's the mandate. And Evero's like, well, everyone needs to develop. We're playing Calais Campbell. He's 39 years old. He's going to be in the league for 50 more years. We need to develop him. And why wouldn't the Cardinals develop Calais Campbell? It's just, it's parsing the words, and it's just a weird situation. The communication is all weird. Here is Evero talking about why he doesn't want to tell you who will be playing in the game Sunday against the Cardinals.
Hey, EJ, good morning. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning, Joe.
Wondered if you could say, if you're going to try, I know you didn't want to get too deep into the weeds, but would you think about playing Princely and Nick a little more Sunday, just with the idea of boosting that pass rush?
Well, again, we're not going to talk about who we're playing. That's going to be a game day thing that we want Arizona to figure out on Sunday. But I'm excited about that group between DJ Wanham, Pat, Princely, Nick Scorton.
So much there, but look at the exchange between Joe Person and Evero. It's almost like when your buddy and you fought or something, like you drank too much, whatever, and you said something you regret, and your friend comes down, he doesn't remember it, but you remember it clearly, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Coachy, what's up, man?" And then this is the response you give him.
Hey, EJ, good morning. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning, Joe.
It's just like, "Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Joe. Bet you don't remember last night, huh? Joe." He knows Joe Person's going to ask something that's just deep and is going to get to the point or whatever. He's going to expose the defensive coordinator on The Athletic. It's funny exchange, but there's a lot there in the quote itself too. Excited about what Nick will do in the future. Excited about the future. Well, the future is now, Coach E. The future is now. You brought these guys in, second and third round picks. It's now. No one cares about DJ Wanham and Pat Jones being on the field. They want to see the young steeds, promising rookies that you drafted to make an immediate impact. That is what we were sold. That is what we want to see. And we're not seeing it. So hopefully we see it on Sunday. And I just dislike this idea that he can't tell you who's going to be playing on the field. No one's asking for a snap count. They're just wondering if Lathan Ransom's going to play more than, I think it was 14% of snaps. If Nick Scorton and Princely Umamuelen are actually going to get into the game. That's all they're wondering. It's not gamesmanship. The depth chart, gamesmanship is telling you the exact plays. You're talking about rookies that don't even have real NFL tape out there. I don't buy into the gamesmanship part of it. Maybe at quarterback. Maybe if you're talking about like J.C. Horn or Derek Brown, like they're game planning for those guys, they're difference makers, and you don't want them to know if J.C. Horn's going to be on the field. But I don't think a rotational edge player versus a rookie edge rusher, like, is that really gamesmanship? I don't know. I don't buy into that as much. I think there should be consistency. The whole offseason, it's been, we're playing the young players, we're developing our young core, we're not signing older guys, we're not signing veteran players who can make an impact because we need to develop our young guys. Anything that gets in the way of that is wrong. And I don't know what the history is, why Evero's doing this. Mike K wrote about it. Evero has a history of being partial to playing veterans early on in the season. That's something he did well in Denver. But he had a ton of talent in Denver. He doesn't have a ton of talent here. It's not like he has a bunch of players who are just by and far better than the rookies. That's not what is going on in Carolina. I want to talk about this Brad Idzik. So we got to hear from the coordinators later this week. Did a lot on Canales on this show. Talked a lot about the quarterback. Let's hear what Brad Idzik has to say about what the key to the game is, especially at the line of scrimmage with the communications. Brad Idzik, here he is.
So it's really just being clear with how you communicate that. So you're not, you're keeping guys in the wheelhouse of things that we've practiced, as far as using vocabulary. So you have all these guys that have played on multiple teams and have called routes different things, have called, combos different things up front. But the repetition that we've gotten, all spring, all last year, going into this year with training camp is just rely on trusting our technique, trusting the vocabulary and the brevity of communication that we presented to you, and just rolling it out on game day, knowing your teammate next to you is going to have your back.
I found this so funny because the issue is the brevity of communication, the clarity of communication. Like, Bryce Young is speaking in Mandarin Chinese or something, and guys can't understand it. It's what he's pretty much saying. Being clear with communication, using a shared vocabulary. Like, is Bryce Young doing the play calls and you need Rosetta Stone or something? Is that how the Panthers receivers are supposed to understand the play calls? You need to be bilingual to play on this team? Like, I just, that is what I don't understand at all. But in that same breath is some of this coaching. I remember Belichick's defense is very difficult to learn. There were players that could not stay in New England because they just didn't get it. And some of it was work ethic, some of it was will, maybe some of it's talent and intelligence and IQ. But players could not deal with it. They didn't learn it. But what would Belichick do in those instances? He would ship guys to Cleveland. He would ship guys to bad teams. He would ship players that weren't bought in, that couldn't learn the defense, to other teams. Here, that's not happening. Guys are staying. And I don't know if it's the quarterback or the wide receivers who are truly the problem. I think the offensive line, it's a little more cohesive. But some of those adjustments at the line of scrimmage, the routes, those minute changes happening before the snap at the line of scrimmage, Brad Idzik thinks that comes down to not understanding the vocabulary, not understanding the communication. So maybe Bryce Young isn't like this sounds ridiculous, but it's like he's not loud enough for something, or he's not getting the words out clearly and cohesively. It's just a weird tidbit of information. Maybe it's the coaching staff, maybe it's the quarterback, but it is the vocabulary and type of communication these guys are making. So people aren't understanding what the quarterback, what the center, what these signal callers are saying at the line of scrimmage. Now, Brad Idzik, one more time, Mike Kay with a hilarious question. Here's Mike Kay asking the Panthers offensive coordinator about Bryson Tremaine, the long shot wide receiver who earned a spot on the 53-man depth chart this offseason.
Oh, sorry. Bryson Tremaine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, he came in with like -2 yards on his resume and was a future reserve guy.
Yeah.
What did he do outside of special teams to really earn a role in your offense? And what did you see from him in the summer that maybe kind of, I guess, reinforced, taking a gamble on him based on your relationship?
Well, first of all, I think he's going to have a great day of practice today. If you're putting the -2 out there, I think that'll fire him up. But I would say the consistency and the approach that Bryson's had since he got here. Obviously, in the spring, we didn't get to see him much with the foot. So I was kind of telling Rob Moore, I was like, hey, just trust me on this one. Trust me.
So much to unpack there. I love how his whole tone at the beginning of the question is just like, shut up, Mike. Like, Mike Kay's asking the question. Pretty much, Mike's a very just soft-spoken, nice guy. Like, I don't think Mike has a voice that would, or just a delivery that would be intense by any means. Like, I wouldn't be triggered or, like, defensive. But Brad Idzik gets pretty defensive there. In the response, it's like, oh, Bryson Tremaine? Oh, you're talking about my guy? Well, Mike, if he heard you say this, like, he would go off in practice, Mike. You said he only has -2 yards on his career, right, Mike? You want to say it again? Want to say it louder? Bryson's back there. He can hear this whole thing. Yeah, Mike. I'll see you later, Mike. That's the tone at the beginning of the answer. But it goes deeper than that. So the OC, Idzik, he likes this guy. Mike Kay published a whole piece, and maybe Idzik read it, I think a month or two ago in the Charlotte Observer, writing about Idzik's relationship with Bryson Tremaine, how Bryson Tremaine was this long shot athlete even at the high school level. I believe he walked on at Stanford where Idzik was an assistant at the time. Idzik was probably in his mid-20s, younger. This is all the way back, I think, in 2017. Idzik has always had a relationship with this receiver. And this context doesn't really matter. Why it does matter is this just a player that can't play? And he's on a future reserves deal elsewhere and no one really wants him on the roster and he's probably not someone who should be on a 53-man roster, but because the coach has this relationship with him, oh, he's here. And he makes the roster even over Hunter Renfrow originally. And Bryson Tremaine, I looked back at the snap count. 30% of offensive snaps. David Moore, I think, was at 11%. It was less than Bryson Tremaine. And that is ridiculous. That should anger you. Because David Moore is someone that could have helped in that game against Jacksonville. And I know people don't think David Moore is the best receiver, or I don't even think he's good. He's run this offense for a long time. He knows the offense. You have guys like Xavier Legette who don't know what to do in the slot. And I don't know if that's Xavier Legette's strength. David Moore should know that. He's been in the offense for how many years? He should know that. Put him in the game. Why is Bryson Tremaine playing 30% of offensive snaps? And the answer is it's because he has a relationship with the OC. And the OC likes him, and he had to beg Rob Moore and advocate to Rob Moore to say, keep this guy around, vouch for him, go to bat for him, because I want him on our offense. And this is the political stuff that's going on in Carolina. This is why you don't fire the communications coordinator for posting about Wu-Tang Clan on Instagram and making insensitive comments, because you need him to break through to the coordinators and coaches on the Panthers staff. That's how far removed from reality the Panthers coaching staff is. They need to keep that guy around. They need the communications coordinator here still because the coaching staff is such a mess. Oh my gosh. What a week in the news cycle. No, I want to go to the comments, and there's so many, tons of comments. Thank you so much for the engagement. Seriously, it's remarkable, and it's so motivating. You have no idea. I do these pods like late at night, early in the morning, as after work hours. I work a pretty rigorous day job. So I kind of feel like Batman, and then I see y'all commenting, and I'm like, oh, dude. Oh, I do it for the city of Charlotte. I do it for the city of Charlotte. Panthers.com is not going to mislead you. Panthers.com. It's the Joker. I'm Batman. All right, so we're going to the comments. Trizzy, one of my favorite commenters, not just here but elsewhere. Nick Scott is still in the starting lineup. It's beyond belief. I agree. It makes no sense. He can't tackle. He can't cover. Lathan Ransom, I think he showed some pop in the preseason. Missed some tackles, but when he hits. And I think with a safety, you do like a safety who runs downhill. He's 200 pounds, not a huge guy, but is just not afraid to lower a shoulder. He tackled Caleb Johnson really hard at times in that Steelers game. That's where he shined. He had the interception on Mason Rudolph against the first-team Steelers offense. He should be on the field over Nick Scott. I don't think anyone on earth is debating that, except Ejiro Evero. I think Ejiro Evero is the only one that disagrees with Trizzy on that. Nick Scott should be in the starting lineup. This next one is from Shaky. There's some numbers and letters here as well. He writes, Bryce had a bad game, no doubt. However, for Canales to imply Bryce Young was the only problem is wrong. I agree. Yash got beat a couple of times is lunacy. That the operation was pretty smooth. When it was apparent that calls were coming in late, I think Canales is to blame. I think Young is more to blame, but the quarterback position's more powerful, right? Like the coach has never mattered more than the quarterback. And I think a lot of this stuff is happening at the line of scrimmage. Idzik said it earlier in this podcast. Canales reiterated it. Now, for Canales to completely throw the quarterback under the bus, and no matter what the question is, it's always everyone else is doing good to the point where Josh Nijman, he's going on and on about Josh Nijman. I mean, that is lunacy. I agree with that. And hopefully it's not a precursor of things to come with the quarterback. Hopefully that relationship between Canales and Young is not past saving and that there is some camaraderie there. Johnny writes, I don't think much has been to be done yet. It's still week 2, and if you look at the stats besides the turnovers, Panthers week 1 this year and Panthers week 1 last year, it's not the same. We had a bad game, and we're confident. I'm confident he'll bounce back. Love your videos, by the way. Keep pounding. Heck yeah, Johnny. Heck yeah. Oh, yeah. That made me so happy I forgot what the rest of the comment was. Just kidding. I agree. I mean, certainly, like, those 2 games early in the season, 2024, were awful. Week 1 and week 2, Bryce Young, was as bad as a quarterback can play in the NFL. That's not to say that this week wasn't really bad. And the key word you put in there, Johnny, is turnovers. And that's the key to success in the NFL. You think of the game last year against the Cardinals, you won the turnover battle. You won the game. So as long as he doesn't turn the ball over and does enough for you to win, make some plays, make some throws, doesn't have to be Herbert or Josh Allen out there, and he could be really good. I think he could win 8 or 9 games if Bryce Young is at least doing the small things right and not turning it over. I just need to see and have a little more evidence that he's not going to turn it over. Brad writes, Brady C is a better left tackle than Josh Nijman. I'm surprised they didn't have Brady Christensen in there. Josh Nijman, the history, he was signed to replace Ikem Ekwonu at one point. He was a promising guy from Green Bay, was in the starting lineup, I think, in 2022, had a really nice game against Micah Parsons. He was their backup tackle there for a while, and they brought him in as Ikem Ekwonu's backup, but also a guy to kind of push Ikem Ekwonu when they brought Josh Nijman here in 2024. And the reason I tell you that is not because Josh Nijman is better than Brady Christensen. It's more so I think they look at it as Brady Christensen is that swing offensive lineman. You play him everywhere, but Josh Nijman is like the true backup left tackle. That's just my philosophy. Don't know if it's right. Sam writes, Panthers stink, just go away. So I think that's one of the guys from Minnesota who's still around. Now, to his credit, I did call Minnesota a massive target. I said it's just a big retail giant. So I apologize, but go Panthers. Michael writes, no, I love these comments. No matter how you cut it, we are so screwed. I think they'll be okay. Well, come on. It's all based on the quarterback. If Young can play well, they'll play well. I'm still going to say it. If he can get his act together and play well like he did at the end of last season, and that's not lightning in a bottle, that's not a mirage, 9 wins is on the table. Joe Schmo writes, not too worried about the offense, TBH. Chuba looked good. Keep running the ball. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing more design QB runs. I love that. No more coddling Bryce, Joe Schmo writes. Quarters look good. Morrig did his thing. Scott and that entire front 7 needs to be scrapped. Bring back the 4-3. A lot there. I love the Chuba argument. I think they should just run the ball. They have a really good offensive line, especially when running. Once Ikem Ekwonu gets back, you even further solidify the rushing attack. And I love the point about Bryce Young running the ball. He's great. He's quick. He's honestly almost like a Wes Welker type. Shifty, quick, falls forward. He's a small quarterback, but he always finds a way to fall forward somehow. So maybe they can have some more designed runs for the quarterback. And Drummond, finally. So this is an amazing comment, A+ comment. I was so pumped up when I saw this comment. I go, this is what the comments are meant to be. This is what the comments are meant to be. So he writes, the issue is Tepper. He probably told Evero that the defense was his and his alone to mold as he saw fit to smooth things over after refusing to allow him to interview for other jobs. And that is the poll from Drummond, poll of the century. So that was an article that came out all the way back in January of 2024. So this guy has like a year. He's the Wikipedia of this fan base, of this team. And I love this theory. I love it. So Tepper, a businessman making gentleman agreements, and Evero goes, this is my shot to call. Canales, you, Dan Morgan, Tepper, you can't sit here and tell me who to play. Get out of here. You told me in January of 2024 when you told me I couldn't interview for the Jacksonville job that I would get to call the shots and that I would be, in the words of Mike Kay, the head coach of the defense. The head coach of the defense. So I love the philosophy. I love pulling that information there. Drummond writes, this has caused conflict between Canales and Evero. It's the only theory that makes sense, and it is. We're going to end on that. The only theory that makes sense and it's conflictual in Carolina. I'm rooting. I'm pulling for the Panthers. Go Panthers. Screw the Cardinals. The quarterback is too busy playing Call of Duty to clean up the duty that is the Arizona Cardinals. Go Panthers. Keep pounding. Go team. Let's go. I'm going to wear the Panthers shirt no matter what on Monday, but I'm pulling for a dub. I'm pulling for a dub. This is the tone.